Hey, we up.
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Okay, so
besides this giant
we've got a weird object
painting
here.
right here.
Can you tell me why?
So the question I have today for you, Nick,
Yes.
it's a very important question because this painting is in my apartment, and before anyone comes into my apartment, I need to know the answer to this question because it allows me to gauge the personality types.
No, sure.
Okay.
I've been here for quite a few times.
You have.
I've never had this question before.
I don't know why you have to tell the audience that. It's called going with the flow. Nick.
But I want people to know that we are also mates.
Yeah.
I come here. I swear to God.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But depending on what you see in this painting, it often determines if you're like a sociopath, like a nice person, or like a weirdo.
But there's a lot of pressure on it.
There is a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. Because I'm either going to like invite you to my next birthday or I'm going to block you.
Or not.
It's like, this is like one of those two things.
It's a weird thing because you never have birthdays. Yeah. Unless you do. And just haven't been invited.
Yeah. So what do you see in this painting?
So what do I see? Are there two answers or like multiple answers?
There's multiple answers.
Okay.
But there's one that people often give.
Yes. Okay.
So if you look at it, what do you see?
Can I give you my very first impression?
That's what I want.
Painting? Amazing.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Lord of the Rings where they're on the boats and they're now traveling away from, I think it's from Rivendell, and they come to this ravine, and there's two massive statues that were built by like the ancient people of Middle Earth.
Yes.
And that's the first thing I think of when I see this.
That is so fascinating.
But I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd. So I'm more likely to see Lord of the Rings and everything.
You know what though? I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Yes.
Huge. It's the greatest trilogy ever made.
Amazing.
And I see what you're saying. So you are a sociopath.
What is the...
So a lot of people see like a cheetah.
They do not.
No, to be fair, those are the sociopaths. The ones that see cheetahs.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you do think about it.
Oh, I
see it. You
see
see a cheetah?
Oh my God.
Yeah. A lot of people see a cheetah, yeah?
That's so... I would have never seen
With
that.
the eyes, like the nose here, and like the... like a mouthish area.
Art.
And close up, yeah. Some people see a knight, like a knight's armor like on his head.
Oh, it's almost like a Greek helmet.
Yes, the Greek helmet.
I actually feel quite basic now.
Saying that,
like, it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like actually, it's like quite deep.
Yeah, some people see a helmet. So, and those are the good people. The
helmets are the good people.
Seeing,
how have you discerned what's a good person and what's a sociopath?
Soon after their behavior. So
it's not actually the answer. It's like it's not actually behave after. It's like, oh my God.
No, but truth of the matter is, people that do say the knights or the cheetah, they actually have a pattern of behavior that is associated with what they choose. So interestingly.
So Valley doesn't come up.
Valley does come up.
Oh, Valley does come up.
Valley does come up.
Okay.
Those are often my dumbest friends.
That's me. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So So I actually, when I first got you, I saw the cheetah.
So you're the sociopath?
I'm the sociopath. Yeah.
Yes, nice. Okay, guilty. This is the trend at this podcast.
Yeah, basically.
Finding sociopathic tendencies of Evander.
Let me get rid of this painting.
Get it out of here.
Mind your goddamn business.
Cool. So today's episode is quite an interesting one, considering that we launched the first one without properly having or being able to address this.
People have no idea who we are.
Literally, who the hell are you guys?
You're just chatting about all the stuff.
Chopping it up.
But you have no idea what amazing things that you've created.
I mean, right back at you.
And thank you so much. It's so kind of you. So maybe in this episode, we can give some context about who we are, how we know each other, probably quite important as well for people who don't know us.
Yeah.
And then also in terms of the businesses that we run and that we've created. And at the end of the day, this podcast is all about like building a business for dummies, right?
100%.
Like, we have no idea what we're doing.
Two dummies essentially trying to help other dummies. I love you guys, but dummies absolutely. Figure out how to build a business.
For sure.
So let's take it there. Let's give people some context as to who we are.
Absolutely. So Evander Chinua Obi.
Full name. Jeez, my full government. Damn. I'm nervous.
You feel attacked.
I feel attacked.
Oh my God. Okay. So let's go into it, right? So Evander, let's go into first of all, when did you start Now? And what is Now what about?
Cool. I started Now. Now is essentially an insurance company. that focuses on providing patients with medical malpractice insurance. What does that mean? Well, essentially, it's probably better if I give you some background as to how I started the business and why.
Absolutely.
Before then you have a better idea of what it is. So I worked at a law firm, very prominent South African law firm, in about 2018. And whilst working there, I worked with a fantastic team. One of the ladies in this team was someone I became very close to and became a good friend of mine, a woman. I won't mention her name. But the one day she comes into the office, she's like, "Hey guys, I'm not feeling too well. I'm feeling quite sick. I'm going to go, to the doctor and maybe get some medication and probably take the rest of the day off." And everyone in the team was like, "Oh, perfectly fine. That makes so much sense. We'll see you later." She didn't return for 2 months.
For 2 months?
2 months. And we were like, okay, what the hell happened to this woman? Like, where has she
What could have gone
been?
on?
No communication. Everything was just, She walks back in after about 2 months and she's burned from head to toe.
She's burnt.
Burnt from head to toe. So we're going, what the hell happened?
What could have happened?
So we ask her these questions. She says, I went to the doctor. I was prescribed penicillin. Turns out that I'm allergic to penicillin because essentially you can build up an allergy to penicillin if you've had a baby.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah,
pre-child, pre-child, you may not be allergic. Post-child, you may very well be allergic.
Yes.
And that's what happened. And what happens is that the reaction fuses and essentially burns you inside out.
Inside out.
So
Jeez, man.
it is horrific.
That is terrible.
So then I ask her, okay, cool. So, that was insane. But now, how are you going to get reparations? Like, how are you going to fix this? Like, you clearly have a claim here against the doctor or the hospital. And she says, Ivan, I wouldn't even know where to start. And I thought to myself,
she doesn't know where to start. She's a lawyer.
A lawyer?
I would have no idea.
You cooked.
Yeah.
A lawyer.
Yeah,
one of the top firms on the African continent.
Wow.
A senior lawyer in one of the toughest areas, which is tax law, which is very complicated.
Yeah, sure.
And she didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, well, there's hope. Like, everyone's screwed.
Yes.
It's hopeless.
Absolutely.
There needs to be a fast, easily understandable way for people to get damages covered due to medical malpractice.
For sure.
How do we do that? Nothing exact like that existed. So I did the work of figuring out if there's appetite for a product like this, if people would be interested in. We did a survey at about 1,000 people. We were looking to see whether or not the survey would be successful, as in, how many people would approve this type of product. We had like a 75% approval rating.
That's unreal.
Yeah, we realized.
Never expecting
it. I mean, we were hoping for 40. If it was like 40%, 40, 50%. Great. We're good. Let's push. 75%. Whoa.
Yeah.
Run.
Massive.
So we did just that. We started building a product around providing people with easy access to compensation post medical malpractice. You put in a claim with us. We review a claim. If the claim, if there's medical malpractice present, we then pay you out. Simple, done. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So that was the genesis of the idea.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing company from what I can see as well, from what you guys do. The marketing looks great. It's also really simple. As soon as you say something like medical malpractice, my brain goes like,
yeah. Well, that's the point, right? Like,
no, sure.
We wanted to democratize that idea.
Yes.
So often when you hear these big words, people go, "Oh, it's too much. I don't want to."
Yeah.
We wanted to almost simplify it to such an extent that it becomes accessible to everyone, and Absolutely. It's not a big deal. If you have this problem, well, Nana knows what I need. Let me go to them.
Yes.
Make it super simple, super straightforward, and that's what our social media is also trying to angle towards.
And we can talk about marketing in an episode.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you guys are doing, has made it so simple.
Yeah.
Even me and my dumb brain, I can work out what you guys do, which is phenomenal. So it's a great premise, and I guess it really helps people.
Oh man,
which is massive.
Dude,
that's so big.
So big.
So you like this like capitalist evil, but there's a good thing there.
There's a good thing. Yeah, massively
absolutely.
good thing. Yeah. Very communist statement, but anyway. So talking about helping people, though,
yes,
I think more importantly about helping people, more maybe that's not the word, but more narrowly about helping people is what you guys do.
Yes,
you guys get to the real thing. So can you give us a bit of flavor as to what the Kesho Boys are up to?
The Kesho Boys, I actually love that. I like the Kesho Boys.
Yeah.
So good.
The Kesho McGregors.
Yeah, the Kesho McGregors. Absolutely. So we started Kesho 2024 March.
Okay.
And it was quite funny because myself and my co-founder Matthew, who's my cousin, my flatmate, And
He's everything.
and
My lover.
co-founder. Oh, this is not good. It's a different podcast.
Jeez.
The incest is best podcast. No. So we
He's gonna ask for that thing to be cut out. After he's gonna be, guys. I can't.
Sorry,
It was a mistake that I said that. Please cut that out.
We have to chop that. It's too raw. It's too soon in the relationship. No, so we were. It was quite funny because we were both working these jobs that we hated, and I had meant to start a charity for years and years and years.
It's crazy that you always had, because you really have always wanted to start a charity.
It's so I don't know what it is, and I think we can go into a later stage, but I think I come from my family's always been
givers.
Like that. Yeah, they've been givers.
I think that's true.
It makes it sound so holier than thou, but
really, I think that is true.
There's something there.
The amount of free food your mother has doled out to this little belly this has been incredible. The amount of times I've been allowed to sleep on your floor.
Oh,
not bed.
So good.
Bed,
on that rug.
And a little corner in the dog closet, Harry Potter style.
Yes.
Was very kind of you guys.
There was a roof.
Yeah.
Don't complain. It's a roof and a meal. Anyway, no, kidding. You had a counter.
No,
so we started. We were both hating our jobs, and we were like, and I had always spoken about it. And Matthew also had this idea of starting a charity, and I had a concept of what we could do, in terms of how we could create it. And the concept kind of was, we live in London, we're from South Africa, we feel very South African, we feel very close to home. We love South Africa as a place. There's so much wealth in the UK.
Yeah.
And any money that if we made £5 here, we could buy someone food for a day, in South Africa.
Yeah,
it's just a massive disparity. Yeah. So the idea was, the idea sort of came into being, and then Matthew catalyzed it. We were sitting.
Did he?
Yeah, he was like, Nick, we're doing it today. So we looked into it. We tried to be a charity. Very difficult to become a charity off the bat. So then we
started. Did you guys register in the UK?
We're registered in the UK. So you're on Company's House. Check us out. Kesho Collective CIC. So we became a community interest company, and then we set that off. And basically how it happened is that we decided that instead of having our own charity, we would just raise money for the amazing charities that already exist in South Africa that do the great work but don't have the time to fundraise.
Okay.
So we met.
That's a great premise, by the way.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Premise.
Yeah, it's just like we could go out and try and start something, but actually the best thing is there's great people.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So really, really cool. So we've been going for a year now. We've had 4 great events where our donors are amazing.
Yeah.
We've fostered, I think, quite an amazing
community.
South African community.
I would say community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because people, I know people who'd be like, oh, but are you going to this Kesho event this weekend? Yeah, generally. And it was a little, brainchild of yours that has become into such a real thing that people look forward to. They put it in their calendars. They're excited to see it, because very often people are making friends in those spaces. Oh, you're fellow South Africans. Oh, what are you up to? What do you do? And eventually, like, networking, meeting. So it ends up being a win-win for literally everyone involved.
It's amazing. So people come to the event, they meet other South Africans, Zimbabweans, Botswanans, and it becomes like, we did a South African comedy night quite recently.
Oh, and love that.
People,
so good.
People, thank you so much for coming. And people loved it. They were like, oh, it's so great to hear South African comedy in the UK. And we didn't even realize what we were doing. We're like, okay, cool. We're doing the event.
Yeah.
We can make the money and then ship it off to our charities. But it's that community has now become so powerful, which has been amazing.
Dude, that's incredible.
It's been really, really great.
I think both our stories are quite interesting because they're coming from two different angles. Mine is, a for-profit company. Yours is a non-profit company.
Yeah.
I think there's so much information related to both those types of business structures that is just lost in the minutiae. Like, people just don't get access to that very freely and in a way that's accessible and simple to understand. And I think that goes really to the heart of this podcast, right? Our thinking was really, damn, we want to know a lot about businesses in South Africa or otherwise, or in the UK, but we just don't know where to access that information in a very simple, like I said, simple and easily digestible fashion. Where can we find that?
And this is the whole point, right? Yeah. And saying that, let's get to the pragmatic sticks of the matter, So when you started now, sticks of the matter, that's not a thing at all. No one's ever said that.
You do this thing where you make words up. And then you carry on going as if it's not.
I was going to say, is he going to check me on that? No? Okay, let me carry on then.
I love that about you. It's the chutzpah that you have in you.
Absolutely.
Make sure
My speaker said with enough conviction.
Everyone would leave me.
It might just carry on. But so, what are the first steps that you took when you started?
First steps. So I think that's right. I think the first step was really determining whether or not the business or product had legs. I think you need to do that. I think you can't start something or go on a journey before determining whether or not this thing is actually going to be appealing to the audience in which you're trying to attract, right?
You're going to put in the time, put in the effort, and money, of course, 100%. The investment you put in.
Yeah, so I would always recommend to people who are starting a business, have that be the first tick box, right? Go out there and say, cool, I have this product, this is generally my target market, whatever, females between the ages of 18 and 35,
sure.
Working in corporates, for example.
Yes.
Go and tailor a survey for those types of people, and the businesses and companies that do this. We can provide a list of that in the bio of this. But go out there, get that survey. What they'll do is they'll tailor that target group and that marketing group for you, and they'll get that survey into those people's hands. And
that's
then
amazing.
They answer a bunch of questions. You really figure out, like in the most honest and raw sense, whether or not this is actually a product people want.
It's worth doing.
It's worth doing.
That's brilliant.
Once you've done that, you firstly, have the confidence to know, okay, cool, I have something.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, if you do have something but it's a bit airy-fairy, but 50-50, you know what you can work on, because your questions should be tailored in such a way that you're trying to figure out more than just whether or not people like the product, but rather also what changes or tweaks would they want to see.
What improvements you can make from what you already have.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I think if you're running a profit company, you'd be remiss if you didn't figure out whether or not that's something people actually want. I don't know if it's the same with like non-profit, because I guess you guys it's like charitable. So what's the first protocol that you guys would?
It's a good question, and I wish I had a better answer. But we just did it, and it kind of worked. No, basically what happened was during the Rugby World Cup, I made like a WhatsApp group which you were in, and I was like, guys, rather than the Springboks are playing Scotland, you go with like 3 mates to go watch at a local pub.
Pub and
wherever you live. It's like, let's make a big group of it, and then I'll make the booking. It takes 3 seconds to do. And then the first one, we had like 25 people there that rocked up. Like there was, I think it was South Africa versus Scotland or something.
Yeah.
And then we did the next one for South Africa versus Ireland.
I remember this.
And there was like 30, 40 people there. And I was like, what if I just ask these people to pay 10 quid to be there?
Yeah, what the hell?
They get a great vibe.
Yeah.
There's a great camaraderie. And then we could, raise that money and
give it back to you.
Exactly. And then fundraise for our charities. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And then from our first...
So you kind of did validate the idea. You almost had an MVP. Sure. You had a minimum viable product, which is what's referred to as an MVP, basically the first version of whatever it is you're going to do ultimately, making that thing, and then seeing that thing has legs. So
Absolutely.
You had an MVP basically, but what's that?
MVP, that thing, We had a most valuable player, and whatever thing you said there, great. Whatever cool business lingo you said.
MVP, minimal viable product.
I love that.
Yeah,
okay, brilliant. Can we get that up on screen?
Yeah, put that up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Producer, we're not producer.
Yeah, so no, so we had that idea, and then for our first event, and it's going to sound like I'm cocky, but we sold out. We had like 200.
That's not cocky. It's facts.
Yeah, no, it's facts. 200 people that all came, and they paid the 10 quid. They loved the camaraderie. Yeah. People are singing Guijo and South African songs, and the anthem boomed. So it really worked out. I guess in a similar capacity to what you guys did. How did you? And this is a question that I always battled with. Before I started going into like the whole NGO, like the doldrums of NGO administration bureaucracy with Companies House and the British government. How did you initiate that registration in South Africa for now? Yeah, so the thing is, again, I'm as a lawyer that worked in corporate and commercial law. Yes.
Bread and butter. It was my bread. It was literally what I was doing my day.
You did that off the bat?
Literally off the cuff.
Yes. Okay.
I was doing it for other businesses.
Sure.
Day in, day out. So when it came time to hours, it was just, I ran the process. You go into the website, it's a couple documentation.
Yes. Okay, but for Brandon,
I love you. Let me give you some advice when you start a business.
So Brandon is Yeah.
Hit me up.
He's got like a gorilla tattoo, and he wears like Monster Energy vest. And he's got.
I grew up with so many Brandons.
I'm actually describing St. Benedict's boy.
Man, the East is just full of Brandons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He DJs in his part time, but he wants to start his own energy drink company. How would he go about registering that off the bat?
Yeah, so you essentially go onto the CIPC website, which is effectively the company's house equivalent in South Africa. And to be fair to them, it's quite an intuitive process. It's you go onto the website, there'll be an option in one of the tabs about registering a business. You click it and you essentially run through that process. They'll ask you for basic documentation like proof of address, who the directors are going to be, the shareholding, all of that is, again, quite intuitive. You'll know if you have one director, just you, or you have a buddy that you're starting it with. Your address doesn't have to be anywhere special. It could be your home, to be honest, for your first one. They will also likely ask for you to provide like an Articles of Association, so which is essentially the founding document of your business, the constitution of your business. The CIPC generally provides like a basic version of that, and you can use that if you want. I mean, it really just to help you get started. But what some people do is they tailor that document to be more specific to their business and them as individuals. So that's what we did. We tailored it and, put in clauses around, the directorships and how it's going to work and flow. But you really don't need to do all of that. Using what is available is already perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. I think you pay like a very small registration fee, and Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. Like nothing else.
So it's actually quite an easy process.
It's very a simple process. And I guess that's one of the kind of pros and cons of it.
Yeah.
The simplicity makes it, because let me say this. I find that when things are a little harder to do, people tend to give more focus and determination to those things. So if you lame example, but if you like are really finding it difficult to get a girl that you really like, and it's super hard, and you want to, with time, when you get her, you're going to really appreciate, everything. You're like, I love her, she's so great.
Yes.
But if it's like, this is so easy.
It's like, I'll get another one.
Here's the car, needs to go.
I'll get another one. It's actually so funny you said that, because for Kesho.
Yeah, so let me finish my point.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And that's why...
I thought you were done. Okay, carry on then. Oh, wow.
And the point there is that because it's so easy to do, I think a lot of people actually abandon their businesses. So they start it up and they be like, I'm so excited, I want to start it, get it done. Oh, that's so easy. I can chill, and they don't really push through with it and carry on doing it. So I would say, if you're going to start it, be real and like actually want to start a business as opposed to just wanting to register a company.
Yes.
You may continue, Nicholas.
No. I actually
interrupting McGregor.
I've got a sorry. I'll carry on to my better point just now. But what I wanted to say, it's would you not? And this is just general, because actually this is something that I would like to know as well. It's, would you not recommend starting a business?
Yeah.
Just even if you don't have an idea, so that could be a holding company in case an opportunity comes up. You can just, you
ready to go.
Yeah. Like someone's like, I need you to drive this bread from Pretoria to Mthatha. Can you quickly do it? It's like, I'll invoice it to Nicholas McGregor, whatever. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Some people do that. Some people are always, they get ready for the opportunity. Listen, not a bad idea.
Sure. Because
you don't have to pay, essentially pay fees on revenue. If you don't generate any revenue, the business or the company can stay registered for as long as you want.
Sure.
So, yeah, I guess you can do that. But what you will need to do is consistently, they ask for like an annual update of your registration. So they'll send you like annual updates, and you have to like re-register, so to speak.
Okay.
So if you're down with that type of admin, that annual admin, then by all means, go ahead, have like a random like shelf company, if you will, that just sits waiting for the opportunity to arise.
But it does sound like it is admin. But I completely hear that. What I was going to say, in terms of from Kesho, Kesho was the girl that I worked so hard for. In terms of your,
it was.
Why
do you say that?
Because
is she a baddie?
Hey, a baddie.
She a baddie.
Baddie, the hottest girl at the club. It took everything to get her. It was the bottom of the crystal. It was everything. So it was because when we first registered, we tried to go through a CIO, so to be a
and
is it a charitable incorporated operation? I don't know, I can't remember. But so CIO is essentially like a charity.
Yeah.
But then there's actually so many hoops you have to jump through to become a registered charity. And there's even a certain amount of money you have to have made as a charity before you can become a charity. It's quite weird. So you have to have made £5,000 before you can become a charity, which obviously we had just started out. We had not made a cent, you know. So it's
so bizarre that, like,
absolutely
be a charity, but also make a lot of money.
It's like you apply for a job and they go, we need 73 years of
literally
experience.
Like, I just got out of high school.
It's an internship. You're like, how could I?
They're paying you $5 per hour.
Yeah, exactly. How can I do that? It's like half of London job opportunities. But so when we started, so we went to CIC. So then we looked at CIC and then we applied. It cost £60 every time. So you do, but you get the money back if it gets rejected, right?
Okay.
So
at least you get the money back.
No, at least you get the money back. Yeah, but we did that maybe 3 or 4 times.
3 times?
Yeah, no, I think it might have been even more. And I think about it, but we did it so many times because we don't understand bureaucracy. Because me and my co-founder are like marketing idiots. You know, we can design a social post, but we can't read properly. I think both ADHD would read like the first page and be like, "I'm over it. Well, that's all we need to know about this." Yeah, exactly. You want to play FIFA? So it was we got through. So we went through it so many times, and then eventually the last one, it was because it was like, you have been rejected for whatever, and then the final one was, you've been accepted. And that moment, I can actually feel it now.
Oh
and
my God.
Maybe I'm trying to make it deeper than it is, but it was like this overwhelming sense of like
relief,
light. The world is a good place.
Oh my
God,
gosh,
it was so amazing.
That's incredible.
It was really, really good.
And I guess that's pretty much what the heart of this podcast is, right? Like, and I think it's important that we talk about this. We want to give a lot more people that feeling.
Yes.
We want a lot more people to get that feeling.
Absolutely.
And we want them to get it in a way that's, again, super easy to understand, super accessible. So the things you can expect in this podcast is giving you not just kind of tidbits about the things we've learned along the way, some of the mistakes we've made, some of the things we've figured out or sucked at, to allow you guys to have context as to how you can apply it to your business and your day-to-day lives, alongside some inspo, like some things that, you know, we've thought about in a inspirational type of sense, in the way that's like, oh, this is what allowed me to continue. And I saw this post, so I read this, and it gave me the confidence to kind of take another step forward, even though I was totally dead and out. So just giving you guys like a pal that you can rely on and speak to.
Absolutely.
About
your 2 best mates. You can chat to you about
2 buddies, man.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really know what we're talking about. We can try.
But hey, we'll get you. We'll have a chat. We'll have a laugh.
Absolutely.
But I think also one thing we will do at some stage in one of the later episodes is that we'll probably take a bunch of questions from you guys to have it like a bit more of an intimate. I just literally brought that up. Nick has no idea I was going to say that, by the way.
No, but it sounds good.
It sounds dope.
Yeah.
So take some of your questions. We answer some of the things if we can, if we're able to, and that way you guys have like a more intimate reaction with us, and you feel a lot closer than just watching us on the screen.
I think that'd be amazing. I think a big thing for me is also about this is that I think the world we live in, especially as millennials, is that we often feel like we don't have control of our future, you know, more than our parents.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I know. Capitalism, right? So,
oh my fucking hell, right?
I think it's really important that, you know, people can start their own businesses. They can look at new opportunities in terms of like, how can I control my future?
Yeah.
How can I have a hands-on understanding of where we're going and what we're doing?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I think that's fair and solid point, my friend. It's a fair and solid point. So yeah, hopefully you guys get a flavor of that. I think the next episode we're going to go into a bit more detail about probably like how we know each other, some of the things, peaks and troughs of
the sticks
startups.
of the
sticks and the stones of starting businesses.
The fish and the fosh.
The fish and the fosh.
Yeah, the fish and the fosh.
Fish and the fosh. That's the name of the podcast. We're changing the name to the Fish and Fosh podcast. No.